All right, back with you tonight in Focus. As the country continues to celebrate Heritage Month, we shine now the spotlight on the heritage monuments and museums and their significance 30 years into democracy. Now, to help us with that conversation, I'm joined by Dr. Jane Mufamadi, who is the CEO of Freedom Park. Dr. Jane, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. Just last week, I was in conversation with one of the MPLs in Gauteng around monuments in the province that are left as white elephants. You know, no tickets are sold, no marketing is put behind these, but yet money continues to be spent to pay electricity, water, and other stuff, but not getting the benefits out of these monuments. How are you making the Freedom Park heritage site work the way that it is supposed to work?
I think it's a challenge. We're making it work, obviously, because we have the support of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. However, in terms of the content, I think we look at heritage, and our approach, it's looking at the past, the present, and how we can use the site to chart a way for the future. Gone are the days where heritage sites are just about the past. It is important to know who we are, because heritage sites are the soul of the nation. They're about our identities. They're about our trials, our tribulations. They're about our triumphs and what we have achieved as a nation. Through heritage sites, you understand why a country or a nation is what it is in the present. And therefore, as you reflect in the past, you interpret where you are in the current, and you can be able to chart a way for the future. So heritage sites are very critical, and it's sad that it seems like issues of heritage culture are taking the back seat as the nation in terms of the developmental agenda of the nation.
Yeah, ideological contestations, political formations might have a different view to say, well, we've got places like Freedom Park, yet we are now in a government of national unity. Others are saying we are handing power back and so on and so forth. I mean, how do you reconcile that in the context of what you're saying, to say, well, we learned from what we've experienced before, and how do we progress going past that?
I think it's a journey. 30 years may sound too long, but if you look at other countries, people are still commemorating and looking at events that happened many hundreds of years ago, and we're only talking 30 years. However, where we are, it's also another qualitative leap in the direction or in the movement forward of a nation, and we just need to build and sustain. I don't believe, while heritage sites play a critical role, I don't think we have done enough to profile them, to privilege them, and to, for example, you should be seeing all schools at least once in a year visiting heritage sites. Like in other countries, it will happen. But here, very few schools can come to heritage sites. And maybe issues of budgeting and resources, and also in terms of how we market, as you say, there is a long way to go, and we still need to work harder. But if you look at where we are, obviously the critical challenge is the contestation. Whose heritage is it that we are preserving? Do we all identify, and how do we then develop programs that bring a nation together? For example, if you come to Freedom Park, and which is part of our success, we talk about the 8 conflicts events. We talk about honoring the heroes. The heroes that we're talking about are across the cultural, political, and color line. Therefore, everybody, every South African, when they come to Freedom Park, they see themselves reflected one way or the other, as opposed to other heritage sites that probably look at a particular people only and or a particular person. Therefore, we need to begin to shift heritage sites to become more inclusive, so that they resonate with all South Africans. And I think that is where we need to build.
I don't know what happens to you come 27th of April and you consume social media in particular, because every time that time comes around, then the question comes to the fore, are we really free? And is there something to celebrate about the 27th of April? How are you guiding that narrative? How are you shaping that particular narrative as custodians of Freedom Park?
I think how we approach it at Freedom Park is the concept of freedom as a journey, not a destination. The various interpretations of freedom, freedom from natural disasters, freedom from oppression, freedom from inequalities, for example, issues around. Therefore, we look at various aspects. We have achieved certain freedoms. However, we have a lot more freedoms that we still need to attain so that we can talk about total emancipation. At Freedom Park, we talk about the emancipation of the African voice. Are we totally free? Our voices heard. Therefore, it is a journey. There is a lot more work to do. There are more areas that we still need to achieve the freedom.
Heritage Monument, is it a profitable endeavor? Do you make money?
It should, but it should be about balancing between access to all people and also because we need to sustain ourselves, we can make a profit. For example, if you look at South Africa, the top heritage destinations, the largest number of visitors are tourists. When people come to a country and they need to understand who are these people, the first places that they will visit will be heritage sites. Hence, we talk about heritage tourism. It is about promoting people-to-people relations, both within and without, where South Africans, for example, in their diversity, need to come and learn about each other and themselves, but also visitors as they come. And when you do that, you begin to see the profits and the economic benefits. Because when tourists come to a country, they pay for a flight, they pay for a hotel, they buy food, maybe locally, they want local products as well as souvenirs. So there is a lot more benefit that can be generated and derived from heritage destinations. Hence, we believe that heritage sites are a golden economy that is still largely untapped, especially in Africa, because it's not just South Africa. We have done some research and we found that Africans in general don't really patronize heritage sites like other countries would.
Yeah. How are you extending your reach? What sort of product offerings are you bringing? What kind of collaborative interventions are you bringing on?
Within Freedom Park, for example, we have partnerships locally where we maximize on resources, especially with sister entities, for example, your National Heritage Council, your Robben Island, your Sarah, your Luthuli Museum, Umsunduzi, and the War Museum. We have various partnerships and collaborations where we come together and jointly mount programs and or do joint initiatives in terms of marketing. We also have partnerships outside the countries. For example, at Freedom Park, we are now focusing on BRICS countries in line with the direction that our country is taking, where we're looking, for example, at tapping from the Indian, Chinese markets, because at some point, the Chinese visitors were the largest especially visiting heritage sites in South Africa, but you also have Germany and the UK and the USA coming through. And therefore, we're looking through various partnerships with entities within those countries to solidify and consolidate visitorship, but also programs where we collaborate. Later this year, around November, we will have a delegation from the USA where we're looking at issues of fundraising and also issues of supporting and cross-marketing of heritage sites, where we look at similarities and commonalities of missions and vision.
And what are some of the things you have on offer? I mean, I hope it's not just on September month where you have activities.
No, not at all. At Freedom Park, we talk about history, heritage, culture, indigenous knowledge systems, and issues of spirituality. We have the main memorial, which is the the wall of names, we have to date over 190,000 names of people who died across various conflicts for the freedom that we enjoy today. So the wall of name is our main attraction. We have a spiritual space called Isivivan, which is conceptualized in such a way that people of various faith can still come, do their prayers and rituals, and still feel included and not excluded in terms of the various diversities. We have educational programs where especially the young people, the schools, the universities come and learn about issues of social cohesion and nation building, but also in terms of heritage, especially liberation heritage. We do a lot of commemorative events where we mark special days, your Matola commemoration, your Maseru raid, for example, because we're a liberation heritage monument. So we do a lot of that, those programs, lectures honoring various people who sacrifice their lives for freedom. For example, we are part of the initiative to bring back the mortal remains from Zambia and Zimbabwe. And on the 27th, we'll host the reception where those mortal remains will be welcomed into the country. So we have various programs, but beyond that, we also have generic picnic spaces where people can just come for a picnic with a picnic basket. We have a restaurant and a coffee shop. You can also host your conferences, your workshops, and we've got beautiful spaces also for weddings, for parties, and therefore we're offering multifaceted programs and products for the nation to consume.
Dr. Jane, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on and your interventions tonight. That is the CEO of Freedom Park, Dr. Jane Mufamadi.